Hello, it's Friday, October 25th. Let's talk PlayStation. It's not often I get festive, really, but I decided, you know what? I'm going to go festive. I'm going to go for it. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to rock the Kalaka shirt. You know, you got the sugar skull and all that. I'm rocking that bad boy. But then I also realized, you know, next week's episode of Let's Talk PlayStation, that's going to be a day after Halloween. So I'll probably just wear this shirt again. However, that's kind of really unimportant, but you know what is important? Some PlayStation news, because that's the whole point of this show. So let's go right into it. The PlayStation 4, we know a little bit more about it, because, you know, the thing's right around the corner. Sony has confirmed 8 players for party chat, so, you know, that one feature that PlayStation 3 never had, that we're finally getting on PlayStation 4, well, you can cross-game party chat with up to 8 players, so we now know that. There you go. So you and 7 of your friends can be in a party chat, and that's max, and then no one else can come in. But you know what's also kind of interesting is Sony also announced that you can use your real name on PSN on day one. Now, the only reason why this is really news, I guess, we already knew that you could use your real name on PSN, but the only reason why this is really news is because over on the Microsoft camp, they confirmed that you won't be able to use real names day one on Xbox One, but it's not really a big deal, really. I mean, I think it's safe to say for a lot of people, from what it seems, a lot of people don't want to use their real names, which Sony has confirmed you don't have to use your real name on PSN, but on day one, if you want to list that over your PSN ID, you can do that. But again, I don't think it really matters. I don't think people are really that interested in it, so... But, you know, the option's there. So as mentioned before, we're getting closer and closer to PS4, and because we're getting closer and closer to PS4, Sony's releasing all these trailers and things like that, trying to convince people, like, hey, you know, PS4 is a pretty cool device, you should probably pick it up. And it seems like they're doing a pretty good job. One trailer they showed off, basically touting the exclusives that the system has, the fact that the PS4 is the most powerful next-generation console, which is, for the most part, pretty much true. And then, you know, it has the most next generation games being made for it, 24 exclusives, 14 high quality, you know, award-winning developers. Obviously, Sony's going to be making trailers like this. You know, they want to get people pumped. They want people to, like, buy PS4s. They're going to tell people, hey, this is what's over the competition. And Microsoft's doing the same thing. They're telling people, hey, we got this over PlayStation. But, you know, obviously they're going to make trailers, so we're getting closer and closer. And the second trailer that they made, well, it isn't a trailer at all, really. It's so basically they made this video called For the Players. I'm sure most of you have seen it by now. Basically, Sony made this super nostalgic video of a kid and his friend, you know, enjoying PlayStation over, you know, the 15 plus years of PlayStation history. You know, the kid has a PS1, the kid then has a PS2, the kid has a PS3, kid gets a PS4. It's all good and happy and stuff. Sony's playing the nostalgia card, and the nostalgia card's always a good card to play because people love nostalgia. And I'm the kind of person where it's like, yeah, I love nostalgia, but I don't like let it just cloud over my judgment. But you know, it's good to play that card as a company. It's obviously smart marketing and tactic and stuff, and it makes the company come from a more genuine side, you know, because obviously they're a multi-million-dollar corporation, they want your money, but it makes it come from a more human side. But it's a really cool video. If you haven't seen it, I will link you in the description. Again, super nostalgic, takes me back, right? I've been there since PS1. That was my first video game console, and that was what ultimately got me to, like, explore other platforms and get so in love with this industry and this entertainment medium. So, you know, good stuff there. So you remember a while ago we were talking about Killzone Shadowfall and that the Killzone Shadowfall digital version is going to be up to 50 gigabytes in size. Well, Sony has, you know, expanded a little bit on that and talked about a few more things regarding that. One thing being that Killzone Shadowfall, which was originally 290 gigabytes, that's massive, right? And obviously they've said that they obviously have optimized it and, you know, compressed it and gotten it down to 50 gigabytes. In fact, they're saying it's now lower. It's a little under 40 gigabytes, at least for the Europe or UK version. I forget which one, but the US version might be a little bit different depending on the audio tracks. But it's basically going to be a little bit under 40 gigabytes. And they're also saying, like Sony's, you know, Play Go feature, the feature where you can download part of the game, start playing it, and then let the rest of the game finish. They've also confirmed that you need to download around 7 gigabytes of the game to actually start playing it. Obviously, like 7.5 gigabytes is still a lot of data to download, but it's obviously a heck of a lot better than downloading 40 gigabytes to play the game, but it is still a pretty good chunk you need to download before you can actually start jumping into the game and playing it, and of course you need to obviously download the rest of it. But there's some insight into that. Another interesting thing that came out is that I believe Call of Duty Ghosts, there was basically a little picture that leaked some box art for the game, and the game kind of lists that it has like a 49 gigabyte install, just the install, and that's for the retail version of the game. So that is kind of jarring, you know. That's kind of like, why is why is the install that big for the retail version? As I'm posting this video right now, that 49 gigabyte install for Call of Duty Ghosts is still like unconfirmed / we don't know like if it's true or not, or if you like have to install that. But it has a 49 gigabyte install. If that's like mandatory or whatever, I would have to assume that they didn't compress the game's audio or something, or they didn't compress something, because 49 gigabytes for the install of the disc is absurd. But I mean, I guess the main point here would be like, yeah, 500 gigabytes is a lot when you buy your PS4, but it's very clear that if you're going to be doing a lot of digital purchases, or even for some retail purchases, whether those installs are mandatory or not, or even if they are going to be upwards to that size, like 500 gigs is really not going to be a whole lot for you. So you might want to consider upgrading that to 1 terabyte or possibly even further. The next generation is coming, people, and if you want to actually play some games, you better have some gosh darn gigabytes in that bad boy. Okay, so you remember a long time ago, Sony had that website Bid for Greatness where you could use your gold trophies to bid for props that were used in the PlayStation 4 commercial? Well, now they're doing that again, but in a different manner. So now, instead of like the person with the highest trophies like just wins, you know, the item, because that's obviously what it was, and a lot of people were excluded from that. They're doing another site, and it's called, I can't remember, so I'm going to look it up, PlayStation.GreatnessExchange.com. So you hop on there. It's like a very similar looking website, but instead this time, you can use your gold trophies to put in a sweepstakes, you know, raffle basically. So if you have 10 gold trophies and you want a specific item, you can enter into that raffle 10 times to possibly win that item. And they've got, you know, stuff like the same kind of stuff, really, like memorabilia, not memorabilia, but like props and outfits from, I'm assuming, that same commercial or something else. But you can do that. And that is obviously, I think, a much better way to handle it, because, you know, the first time it's like that top, you know, 0.01% of people were the ones that were going to win for sure. And, you know, I'm a huge trophy hunter, but even I didn't stand a chance against winning some of those auctions. So it's kind of cool that it's not more so an auction, but now a sweepstakes. So go check that out if you want to try and possibly win stuff. So this news actually came out last week, but I didn't talk about it because I was kind of letting it sit a little bit. I didn't really know what to say in regards to it because we didn't really know a whole lot about it and the reasons why it happened. But PS4's price in Brazil. So for those who don't know, I'll bring up the speed real quick. Basically, Sony announced the price for the PS4 in Brazil, and it was, I think, around like 4,000 real, which if you convert that to U.S. currency, that's around $1,800, which is exorbitant. That's an extremely large amount of money for the PlayStation 4 in Brazil. And Brazil's a big market. There's a lot of people there that want to buy games and stuff, so obviously a lot of people are like, whoa, what is this? Because I ain't buying this. What is this, 2006? And obviously people were like freaking out. And what the ass-kicking thing about this is that Microsoft announced that the Xbox One down in Brazil is actually a hell of a lot cheaper, and people are going like, well, what the deuce? And a lot of people are, you know, even Sony is defending themselves straight up, obviously, because they want to defend the reason why it's so expensive, and what they're saying is it's import costs. They even posted on the Brazilian PlayStation blog, I believe, explaining this. They put a chart up and everything talking about how, you know, a lot of this is import costs. We got to ship the system, and it's through the government and all that, and that's basically gets into a whole bunch of gobbledygook that basically makes the PS4 really, really expensive in Brazil. But people are wondering, hey, why is Microsoft so much cheaper? And there was a lot of theories to that, and obviously I think the number one thing is Microsoft is actually making Xbox 360s in Brazil, therefore bringing, or Xbox Ones in Brazil, therefore making the system cheaper. But see, the thing is, a lot of people are saying that the math doesn't add up in terms of the import and the taxes that are being fixed onto the PlayStation 4. So, and I don't know shit about it really, so I don't really want to, there's really nothing I can really say. The only thing I will say is that it's probably a little bit of everything. Yeah, there's imports, yeah, there's taxes, yeah, there's how, you know, Brazil sees video game consoles as sort of like a pricier, sort of expensive thing that should be in your home, but it's, you know, obviously there's going to be a hefty price tag for it. But then, yeah, Microsoft is obviously probably producing Xbox Ones in Brazil, and that's, you know, good for them, obviously. They're making the system cheaper. I think it's just a little bit of everything, right? And that's kind of the problem why, and Sony really should do something about this because, again, Brazil's a big market. So to Brazilian people, hey, I'm sorry. Sucks, man. It really does. So what this episode of Let's Talk PlayStation basically is the DualShock 4 episode. Woo, DualShock 4, new controller. Hey, DualShock 3. No, DualShock 4. Because a lot of news happened about it this past week. So what news happened, Ryan? Well, hold your gosh darn horses, I'll tell you. The DualShock 4 is out right now. People like, holy crap, whoa, yeah, so Sony's shipping DualShock 4s to stores right now, GameStop, possibly Walmart, Target, all those big stuff. First it was in Canada, now it's hitting the US. Basically, DualShock 4 is available right now. There's no street date on these things, so that's why GameStop and Target and all these places are allowing to sell the DualShock 4. So if you go to your local GameStop right now, they could very well possibly have a DualShock 4, and they will sell it to you because, again, you know, you wouldn't have a PS4 to play it on, so there's no street date, so go ahead and buy one. It does depend on the store, but, you know, like, look around, and you probably should be able to find one within the coming weeks, definitely before the PS4, because, like I said, places are getting it now. And since people are getting the DualShock 4 now, we're learning stuff about it, like, hey, you can play PS3 games with it. So yes, the DualShock 4 basically is compatible with the PlayStation 3, but, you know, it's not, the compatibility isn't really there. You can tell Sony did not prep this functionality, but it works in a certain way. So basically, you need a micro USB cable. The controller has to be plugged into to your PlayStation 3, and certain things don't work. Obviously, the touchpad has no function. The 6-axis controls don't work. I believe vibration does not work, and sometimes the PlayStation button for certain games doesn't work, and certain games won't even let you use it at all. But some get for the majority, a lot of games will let you use, you know, the analog sticks. Left, right, you know, the D-pad, all the PlayStation buttons, the shoulder buttons, all the buttons will work. And in fact, the share and options button is treated as start and select in some games. It's really a game-by-game basis. But you can, you know, if you want to play, if you go to the store right now and get a DualShock 4 and plug it into your PS3 and keep the cord there, you can play it with some games. And now probably the most controversial part of this video, because I'm sure it will cause some sort of fight or storm in the comments below. I'm sure my subscribers will agree with me up front, but then, like, once this video is old and, like, other people that aren't subscribed to me start seeing it, they'll start attacking me, or you guys, or whatever. But so the DualShock 4, you know, as we've said months ago, Sony was testing various things with the DualShock 4, right? You know, because that's what a company does. When they're making controllers or products, they're going to test many things before the final product is chosen and decided and made and sold. So one thing Sony talked about, and basically what they said this past week, is that they tested the stick orientation on the DualShock 4. So basically, they tested it 360 or GameCube style, where the left stick is where the D-pad is, and then the D-pad would be down there. And they tested the DualShock 4 like that. What Sony said is that when they were talking to developers and trying to figure out, you know, the architecture of the PS4 and what the controller should be, a lot of studios said, hey, make it like the 360s because we like it that way. And Sony, of course, opted to keep it the way it was and the way where the sticks have always been for the past 15 plus years. And, you know, that's that. Now, everywhere I go, an article about this, just people fighting in the comments below about where they prefer the sticks. It's all about what you like and what you're used to. I'll tell you right now, obviously I'm not ashamed of it. I've been a PlayStation guy for 15 plus years. I prefer my sticks, you know, in the DualShock orientation. But I totally get that people love the 360's controller. Like, people love that thing. And I like it too. Like, it is a really great controller. You know, the stick placement I really don't care about. But, you know, it's a nice, heavy, weighted controller. It feels premium. It feels great in the hand. A lot of people like that. And that's kind of that situation where all these PS2 people left Sony because the PS3 sucked and it wasn't out for a year. Then people bought 360s, loved the controller, got used to it, and now it's like, you know, they just prefer where those sticks are. You don't see many third-party, you know, hardware manufacturers making, you know, DualShock-like controllers for 360. You don't see that. You see them making 360-style controllers for PS3. So people love that stick placement. But, again, it's all about what you prefer, right? And obviously, I make PlayStation YouTube videos, so I prefer mine where they've always been, on PlayStation. But this does not surprise me at all. As I've said, it's a, you know, multi-million-dollar company. They're going to test so many things. And another thing that they actually tested for the DualShock 4 is that an actual touch screen, not a touch pad in the controller, but an actual touch screen. And they opted to not do that because, well, they don't, basically Sony didn't want people, and developers said they don't want players like having to look away from the screen every now and then to see something on a touchpad. Plus that'd probably bring the price up, and so they opted to throw that away as well. Again, a lot of crazy things that, you know, companies will test. They'll test the most mundane, craziest things you've ever heard of in your entire life, and you're like, why would somebody even possibly buy that? But that's why they just thought of it, and they were like, yeah, we ain't doing that. But everybody, it's getting closer and closer and closer to next generation hardware. I'm obviously super pumped. I'm probably going to, after making this video and uploading it, I'm going to try and see if I can get my hands on DualShock 4. Obviously, I want to get my hands on it as well, and I want to test a bunch of games with it to see which games it works. Maybe I'll do a video or something. I don't know. There's already a good amount of videos online already you can look at, but it's coming, man, and I'm super pumped. Here's a question, you guys. I'm thinking of getting a bigger TV for next gen, just for the hell of it, right? This only happens every 7 years, so I'm thinking, you know what, I might rock a new TV, so I don't know. Yes, no. I don't want to spend the money, but I kind of do at the same time. I mean, you add up a new TV, PS4, Xbox One, I'm going to be spending like over $2,000. Oh my god. Ugh. But video games, that's what it's all about. Love these gosh darn things. Love them. But hey, everybody, thank you all for watching this episode of Let's Talk PlayStation. I'm Ryan Panecki. Thank you so much for talking with me, and I'll see you guys next Friday.